Colonel, you better take a look at this radar.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant.
Dick!
Yeah.
Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Wang! Pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Willie.
Okay.
Katy Perry, I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real. Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my lifetime's tour. By the way, it's Captain Perry now.
Has shot a bunch of women tourists who are totally unqualified to be astronauts. How insufferable all the feminists aboard. How much do we not want this rocket to return to Earth?
The 11-minute space flight that was touted as some kind of divine feminine gift to humanity.
It's absolutely insane. I don't know if it's just woman cringe, Hollywood cringe, or elitist billionaire privilege cringe, but it's absolutely insane.
Okay.
6 celebrity women, including Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez, who is the plastic fiance of Jeff Bezos, took a Blue Origin rocket into space on a trip that lasted from takeoff to touchdown less than 12 minutes in total.
Well, this voyage lasted 11 minutes. I know some people are gonna disagree with me here, but 11 minutes really isn't that long, and you really can't accomplish that much in 11 minutes.
Man, for some reason I feel dumb around you. Anyway, when you sang in space, alien communication satellites picked up the sound waves, and they loved it. I knew I felt a connection when I was in space for real. I sensed the magic of the universe coursing through my food.
Now, so they go up there and they float for like 10 minutes?
At least.
And then they come down.
Let's not minimize this.
No, I know.
Let's,
it's a big deal.
Let's celebrate female astronauts.
And because they were united.
You're officially an astronaut.
You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez blasted off into space in an historic all-female space flight as they rode this huge phallic instrument of Jeff Bezos's into the sky as a blatant Amazon commercial disguised as female empowerment. God, this is so tough.
Excuse me, Captain. Hello? We have a problem. You need to get down here right away. All right, we'll be right there. What's the problem? Please, Jeff, you don't know as much about this stuff as I do. I sang in space for real, after all. And part of our mission is to make sure everyone in the galaxy recycles. That's why, Captain Perry, you're coming with us to be disposed of properly.
Katy Perry, in other words, had certainly set the bar high for herself. She was so insufferably stupid and ditzy before the flight that everybody wondered if she could come up with anything even dumber when she landed.
By the way, it's Captain Perry now. I went to space for real. That makes me Space Captain Perry.
Okay.
I had to come back. I mean, we're getting married. If I didn't come back, that would be a bummer for me.
5 women went up into space, right? Jeff Bezos, the man who paid for it all, sent his wife up, which tells you something about their marriage, doesn't it? I think he was hoping she wouldn't come back.
It was flat but quiet. Like these profundities, Walter. Buckle up.
How do you even formate your lips to say something so stupid?
When we heard Katy Perry sing, it was triggering for us. I mean, who the hell makes a real space flight about themselves by trying to sing to an entire planet without consent? Some organisms are very sensitive to terrible music, you know. Also, launching that much plastic into space is technically littering.
I have no doubt that it was a cool experience. It was not historic or significant in any way, but it was still, I'm sure, cool. More than cool, it must have been profound and quite moving. It's a shame then that it was wasted on a woman with the wisdom and intellectual depth of a newborn poodle.
It was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah. What were her findings? That's my question.
Well,
what
she
did she
brought a
learn?
Daisy, which is super important.
Now we have to witness, who is it, Katy Perry? I didn't even know she was still relevant.
Perhaps you should no longer be a prime member.
Please, I'm trying to get everyone back to work. I'm going to do everything that I can.
Then we have an understanding. Goodbye, Mayor.
I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this.
We're talking about it. We got girl bosses in space, and it's a tremendous accomplishment.
I'm so embarrassed to be a woman right now.
Okay. Welcome back to Tea Time with Tina. South Park just destroyed Katy Perry's so-called space flight, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So remember the days when space travel represented the pinnacle of human achievement? when men and women risked their lives to push the boundaries of science, to explore the outer reaches of the final frontier. Yeah, forget all of that. In our modern era, space is apparently open to anyone with a big enough ego and a knack for turning selfies into a personal brand.
Right? It's so amazing. Like, they went to see space. We're supposed to see them, right? Like, they admired the universe, and what they were expecting was for us to admire the fact that they were rich enough and famous enough to have been granted this utterly, utterly vacuous experience from which they learned absolutely nothing.
Now, before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe because let's face it, I'm nothing without your support. Now back to the tea. Enter a bimbo named Katy Perry, who decided that orbit would be the perfect place to strut around like a fashion model on a catwalk. Except the catwalk is floating 60 miles above Earth. Now, if this escapade had been a humbling journey of awe and self-discovery, the media might have had a decent angle. Pop star finds new purpose and perspective beyond Earth's atmosphere. Instead, we got Captain Bimbo. Her words, not mine. Okay, maybe mine. Gazing so intently at her camera phone, she might as well have missed the entire planet spinning below.
Flynn, I got you. With her Daisy? I got you, Flynn.
Gotcha.
Stuffed animals.
The moon! You guys, I will have to tell you, look at the moon. That's amazing.
Wow, look at the blue line.
Oh my God. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's amazing.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is precisely why the creative geniuses at South Park decided to eviscerate her. Because nothing says ripe for satire like a self-obsessed celeb who treats the vacuum of space like a personal makeup mirror. Let's rewind to the fateful moment Katy Perry and her pals stepped onto a Blue Origin rocket. By all accounts, she showed up with an entourage so large, you'd think she was staging an all-star concert rather than preparing for a suborbital flight.
Sorry, but I'm like, why are you... Don't show your boobs. Don't talk about your ass. Don't get your specially made spacesuit so that we can make sure to see all your curve.
Sources say makeup artists were frantically applying finishing touches, as though the lack of oxygen in space was less important than making sure her eyeliner didn't smudge. One rumor floating around even suggested that she asked if the rocket windows could be tinted just enough so she could control the lighting in her selfies. Because obviously, the universal laws of physics should bend to the whims of a pop star's Instagram feed. For context, decades ago, astronauts like John Glenn or Neil Armstrong stared back at Earth with tears in their eyes, marveling at our fragile blue marble.
Katy Perry went up to the space yesterday and she spent no more than 4 minutes of intense pleasure up there. Came back and talked about how much in love she was with it, how amazing it all was. And she's talking as if she's Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin, you know, landing on the moon, first people planting a flag. She was in space for 4 minutes. She's got longer songs than that.
In contrast, Katy apparently stared at her reflection with a ring light in hand, ensuring every angle captured the perfect "I'm so fabulous" grin. Witnesses claim she was more focused on adjusting her posture than on the fact that she was literally leaving the atmosphere. I can only imagine what was running through the heads of the professional pilots on board. Likely something along the lines of, "We trained our entire lives for this." Amid this comedic spectacle, the mainstream press initially tried to spin the story as Katy Perry inspires millions by traveling to space, championing women in STEM.
Just so ridiculous the way some of the media were covering it, the way they were like self-congratulatory.
My God, you guys, look, we're seeing the moon. Like, guess what? We all see the moon just fine down here. Have you seen the moonrise? Great!
But here's the kicker. The only championing of STEM, if we can even call it that, seem to be the vanity projects that revolve around cameras, lighting, and brand endorsements. A far cry from encouraging young girls to become astronauts or scientists, she ended up encouraging them to chase empty photo ops in the stratosphere. Honestly, if you're more worried about your lip gloss than microgravity, you might not be the space ambassador we need. Word travels fast. Maybe not as fast as the space trip, but fast enough, especially when you're dealing with something as spectacularly cringeworthy as a pop icon, ignoring the cosmic wonder around her.
I had Commander Chris Hadfield on, and he was at one point in time the longest person that had been in space from, wasn't he? It's like he was there for like 6 months. And he was saying it was unbelievable, like how difficult it was to recover once you get back to Earth. He couldn't walk. It was just like a total vertigo. Like his whole body was like so not used to gravity. All of his bones were weak. All of his muscles were weak.
But these just seem fine, these ladies.
Well, for now.
Let's
not
quick.
minimize. Let's not minimize the sacrifice they made for
no,
a
it's
great
huge.
nation.
It
For
was
the
a big
world,
deal.
in fact. For
Yeah.
the world. They're
To show
profoundly
people.
different. They're profoundly different.
To show people. What's inspiring?
That's what I'm saying.
Mainstream news outlets found themselves in an awkward position. They'd already hyped up the flight as a crowning achievement of pop culture meets space exploration. Suddenly, the reality was crashing down in the form of countless memes pointing out that this historic moment felt more like an extended influencer photo shoot with a rocket cameo. Rather than grapple with the obvious cringe factor, some networks evidently toned down their coverage, spinning the event as a bold step for women's empowerment in the final frontier. If empowerment means pretending Earth is a giant background prop, then sure, I guess that checks out. Let's get into South Park's epic takedown and the star of this cosmic roast, Katy Lazy Perry. This frantic media spin was practically a siren call for South Park. If there's one thing the show does best, it's popping the balloon of self-importance. Katy's helium-filled ego was about to meet the sharp end of Trey Parker and Matt Stone's comedic stylus.
Katy Perry, I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real.
Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my Lifetime's tour. By the way, it's Captain Perry now.
South Park's creators basically depicted her as the ultimate airhead, a person so out of touch she'd probably ask if the Milky Way was available for cereal. Naturally, the parody didn't stop at pointing out her vanity. South Park also delved into the idea that these celebrities are so convinced of their own importance, they believe that sharing a zero-gravity selfie is doing humanity a favor. It's as if they've convinced themselves that we need to see them flipping their hair in orbit, that we're all so eager to be inspired by their navel gazing.
And they came back and they're like, everything's changed. Is it? I don't, okay. They had nothing to do with any of the engineering. They're just looking for famous faces who could draw attention to Jeff Bezos' weird little rocket.
If we're collectively losing sight of the real purpose of space exploration, or if we're content to let a handful of glitzy clowns turn the cosmos into their personal playground. Now, you'd think Katy Perry might take this in stride, maybe laugh at herself, or at least glean some self-awareness from the comedic pummeling. But according to the rumor mill, that's not at all what happened. Instead, unnamed Hollywood insiders claim that the pop star threw a fit of epic proportions behind closed doors, tossing around threats of legal action like confetti at a cheap birthday party. One insider suggested that she was in talks with her legal team about possible defamation, a term typically saved for situations where someone's reputation has been legitimately harmed by false statements. But here's the kicker. The entire planet saw actual footage of her ignoring Earth for her camera, so it's hardly a false claim. Perhaps the real meltdown occurred the moment she realized that the entire internet was cackling over her cosmic vanity.
The point here is that calling this a crew or implying that this is some revolutionary, big glass ceiling breaking win for women is basically complete bullshit.
Katy supposedly tried to brand the South Park episode as sexist, ignoring the fact that the show's comedic crosshairs have targeted everyone from Jeff Bezos to revered talk show hosts.
Man, for some reason I feel dumb around you. Anyway, when you sang in space, alien communication satellites picked up the sound waves.
And they loved it. I knew I felt a connection when I was in space for real. I sensed the magic of the universe coursing through my food.
When a show is an equal opportunity offender, it's tough to argue you're being singled out due to your gender. But hey, never underestimate a celebrity's determination to shift the narrative when the heat gets too intense. All this begs the question, how did we as a society get to the point where space, a domain once reserved for groundbreaking scientists and the bravest explorers, is now a playground for the shallow and self-obsessed? If you think the first moon landing was a monumental moment, try imagining the bizarre scenario of an entire rocket full of micro-influencers, each jockeying for the best angle to snap a zero-gravity makeup tutorial. We used to talk about one small step for man. Now, we're dealing with one giant leap for brand endorsements. South Park shines a laser pointer directly onto our cultural absurdities. As soon as something becomes accessible to the ultra-wealthy, it morphs into a photo op. Where's the awe, the humility, the reverence for our planet and the cosmos? Instead of looking down at the Earth and contemplating the fragility of human existence, certain celebs appear more interested in the fragility of their mascara. It's a shift that should make us all just a little uneasy, because if we're not careful, we might soon be living in a world where space tourism is less about discovery and more about vanity metrics on social media.
And it's women who are behind the scenes at NASA and contributed to the space program. Okay, that I get. What did these women do? Like, honestly, one is sleeping with a billionaire who created this program and is jetting people, to outer space for like 10 minutes, for as long as like your average YouTube video takes.
So here we are, stuck between cosmic disappointment and comedic gold, watching a pop star's reputation swirl like space debris. One wonders, does any real introspection come from this level of public mockery? Or do these folks simply double down with more PR spin? Will future space flights come with disclaimers like, please ensure you spend at least 2 minutes actually looking at Earth, or face a penalty fine for excessive vanity? Maybe that's not such a bad policy, all things considered, because if you think this fiasco was a one-off, brace yourself. The blueprint is set. Wealthy celebrities hitch a ride to orbit, plaster their social channels with meticulously posed photos, then label themselves visionaries. Meanwhile, scientists who've dedicated their lives to studying cosmic phenomena are overshadowed by a pop star who can't tell a nebula from a Netflix series. And you better believe South Park will keep roasting them all the way to Mars if the pattern continues. Imagine the reality show spin-offs we might see. The Real Housewives of Low Earth Orbit, Keeping Up with the Cosmic Influencers, or even Dancing with the Stars, literally in space. We've already proven as a society that we'll watch just about anything. So it's not too big a stretch to assume someone's out there pitching these very ideas. It's both hysterically funny and depressingly plausible. At the end of the day, this entire saga is a comedic goldmine, one that South Park expertly mined to expose how shallow, absurd, and brazenly self-obsessed celebrity culture has become. Sure, it might be a bit over the top to call Katy Perry Captain Bimbo, but when the shoe fits, and in this case, that shoe is strapped to a rocket, it's hard to resist the comedic potential. The real question is, does any of this prompt a moment of clarity for future would-be space tourists? Or do we just press onward, turning the final frontier into a cosmic backdrop for vanity projects? If you ask South Park, they'd probably say we're in for more of the same, until the public gets bored or until the next big scandal overshadows this cosmic clown show. And let's face it, in our 24/7 news cycle, it might not take long for that to happen. But for now, if you're hungry for more savage takes and truth bombs on the glitzy illusions spun by mainstream media, hit that subscribe button and stick around. In a world where stardom can literally reach the edge of space, we need all the skepticism and comedy we can get. After all, it's only by poking fun at the ridiculousness that we might steer our collective culture away from pure vanity and back toward genuine curiosity and wonder. So, my dear viewers, remember this cautionary tale the next time a celebrity announces they're heading to orbit. Will they represent the noble spirit of human exploration, or are they just floating billboards for the worst kind of self-promotion? Because hey, if we want to keep